right, welcome everybody to the podcast. Today I have Joe Willis and his team, Casey Stearns and Travis Sorensen, here with us today. We're excited. They've been together for about 2 years now as a team, and they're a highly educated team. Got several master's degrees in the group in both business and real estate. Last year they were in the top 20 teams in the nation for Better Homes and Gardens. So this is a legit group, guys. They really know what they're doing. They have a lot of experience in the industry and very trustworthy guys here. So let's start off with just kind of some general questions as far as getting to know you guys. So how did you get into real estate? And obviously any of you guys can answer this question. How did you get into real estate?
I guess I'll go first. I'll go first. So,
Go ahead, Joe.
so I actually got into real estate. I went to BYU and I was getting a facilities management degree, and thinking I was going to work with my dad, who has a property management, or he used to have a property management company over in California. And I was I think 2 semesters away from graduating. I went and worked with him for a summer, and I hated it. And so, but what I realized,
Not for me.
yeah. But what I loved about all the classes I was taking were actually the real estate courses, and so I already had my real estate license because I was managing some properties locally, and I started selling homes back. I think it was back in 05 or 06 is when I started, and things were rolling by the time I graduated to the point where I was making more money in real estate than I would have as a property manager. So it was just in time for that 2008 crash.
Yeah, good time to join the industry.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So that's me.
Okay.
Nice.
Anybody else want to answer that question?
Travis, Casey?
We'll let Casey go next.
Let's hear you, Casey. Come on. How'd you get in?
Well, I got into real estate. Let's see.
I bet it's a really cool story.
Yeah, really cool story. Actually, I was a respiratory therapist for 14 years.
Okay.
And
14? How
yeah,
old are you?
I know.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Casey looks very young. for
So
those of the viewers,
when we
please.
moved over to Utah, I was working two jobs in the hospital, one at the U and one at St. Mark's, and I was just not seeing my family. It was just kind of miserable. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I wasn't.
Tell them what you're doing. That you're saving lives.
Well, I worked in the NICU. I worked in the NICU with premature babies, putting them on ventilators, and resuscitating babies. So I went.
Meaningful work.
Yeah. No, it was.
It's not as meaningful as real estate.
Yeah. I missed that.
You wanted to
part
make a
of
real
it.
difference.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So, long story short was I just wasn't seeing my family enough. So I was thinking, what's the next thing that I could jump into that I already had an interest in New Mexico? I was thinking, well, I could do real estate there as well.
Sure.
My sister-in-law was working here as an agent at Better Homes, and I started talking to her and was like, how do I get into this? And it wasn't, real estate. You can get into real estate pretty easy if you can stay into real estate. I think that's a different
It's
story.
easy to get
But
in.
yeah,
It's hard to stay.
But yeah, so I got into it. I've loved it. It took me a while to fade out of the hospital, but I'm out of the hospital and doing real estate full time and been on the team. It's been great.
Travis, why don't you answer that too, since this first one.
I bounce around. Sounds like there's a common theme. Is we kind of bounce around a little bit. So I worked up at the U up at the hospital for doing therapy. So I have my LCSW or social work, whatever. I counseled people.
Yeah.
And so I was getting my MBA because the U paid for my tuition, or for part of it at least.
Sure.
And then I was looking at going into hospital management, but that's super exciting and not bureaucratic at all. No, it's unfortunate because it's a great thing. You do so many good things, but there's a lot of bureaucracy, and that's not my mentality. And so I took a few real estate courses and entrepreneurial classes, and that was one of those things that really just piqued my interest, was the ability to kind of be your own boss, chat with your friends, and I don't know. It's nice because I feel like you can add a lot of value to individual lives. I mean, obviously therapy you can too. But yeah, so the real estate courses and entrepreneurial, kind of route lent itself to being in real estate.
Perfect. Okay. Let's kind of shift gears, I guess, and talk about obviously the real estate market and stuff like that. But what makes you guys successful as individual agents? And then obviously as far as obviously I do mortgages and stuff, and we work together. With that, I guess. What makes it successful as a team too in that regard.
Apart from good looks, or
Well, good looks are very important. Actually, hopefully they're not. So I'm not sure.
That's why we're on a podcast.
But yeah, I mean, what makes you guys successful as far as agents go? and stuff like that. Why choose you? I guess I would say, you know.
Casey, you want to answer that?
Yeah, why you?
Sure.
Casey?
Why
I
you,
mean,
Casey?
I think the reason you choose us is that we're pretty transparent,
Okay.
honest guys.
Sure.
We all work pretty similar to one another.
Yeah, we have a similar
Um,
style, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, in an industry where there's so much like, I feel like cloak and dagger ishness,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Feeling.
Yeah, I think there's that whole persona of like a salesman, or real estate. I don't know, like used car salesman. I hate saying that
Yeah,
because like
that's true, though.
like going from where I came, like from the hospital where people were needing me, you go to real estate and everybody's a realtor.
Yeah.
So I think we stand out in that sense that we do things by the book. We're really transparent. We try to educate our clients as best we can. We bring them to good people like yourself, that get the lending side done, and we have a good knowledge. Like there's a lot of knowledge right here with you, and it helps us be successful in the market.
Well, I would agree with that. I mean, I think that's actually one of the things I like about you guys is just, just down to earth, good people. Like in this business for the long run. I guess you could also say, right. As far
Right.
as not trying to churn and burn people, right. But like, hey, let me help you long term, right. And I know Joe and I have been working together for probably the longest, and I'm doing loans for kids of people that I've done loans for. You know what I mean? Like, you get in this business long enough, you treat people well, they want their family members to do loans with you, right? Do
Yeah.
deals with you. And so it does help in that regard to just be real and just like, hey, I genuinely want to help you, right? And I genuinely want to help you do, get the real estate you need. And obviously, if you're trying to build wealth with investing or different things like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's the big play.
Travis wants to say something, I can tell.
Oh no, I was we're not like salesmen.
Yeah,
like
totally.
we're consultants, advisors, kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
yeah.
our goal is not to talk people or strong arm somebody into buying a house. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to do. I mean, some people may ascribe to that. I understand. That's not us
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
So many times people, when we first have the initial conversation with somebody, the first thing they say is, hey, look, I'm not looking to buy right now, or this, it might not happen for a long time. And really,
Surprise.
yeah.
yeah.
I think they have that reaction because they've had negative interactions with other agents where
Sure.
if they're not ready to buy, then they get dropped or they get treated like they're second fiddle or whatever. But for us, it really truly is about the long-term relationship with our clients, and that is
For
that is like the core of our business. We also have people say, hey, look, I'm only going to buy like a small little condo, so I'm not sure if you want to waste your time with us. And for us, it doesn't matter if you're buying a small little condo or selling a little condo or buying a multi-million-dollar property. It's truly all about the relationship. Because what we've come to realize is that if you do a great job, this is going to sound, people are going to, of course, but if you do a great job, then they will refer you to other people. And that's where 95% of our business comes from, is just referrals.
Well, and I think, because it's so much like the referral, and we hear this so commonly with like referral, like this is how we do business. Because what people don't realize is I feel like it comes down to like an experience, right? So like for some reason, like people like to help other people, right? And so if you refer somebody, you're kind of taking your credibility and putting it on the line. And so that's why I think in our industry it's so important, is it's like we do a good job because we trust the people and they trust us. And we want to create a good experience, not just like, because I agree, we are like super referral oriented. That's like what we do, and that's kind of our model, our focus. But if we don't take, if we take those things lightly, those referrals lightly, I think that's when you have those bad experiences, or because again, we're borrowing on someone else's credibility at that point.
Which I guess would go into, why do we work well together as a team? Kind of that same concept, right? I mean, I know when I get a deal from one of you guys, hey, call, John Smith and give him a call. I mean, that's a big deal, right? We want to make sure we take care of him because, like, hey, that's coming from that team, and we know you're next on the line saying, hey, this guy's awesome, and if we wait to call him or we say, you suck, you can't get a loan, I don't know, like, I mean, that plays into things, right? So like,
It's a big deal.
we don't want to be, abusive.
You don't want to let that person down that's put trust and faith in you.
That's
Right.
exactly it, right? So same thing with, when the client refers, it's not just that client referring, but it's also you guys referring within the team. And I think, again, the benefit of that is we have each other's backs as far as taking care of each other's clients, right?
Yeah.
And making sure that that's
It's a priority, yeah.
a priority and stuff like that. Because, there's, anyhow. So
Yeah.
I would agree there. Any other things on that topic?
Why would they use us? Was that the question?
Yeah,
I can't
that's
remember.
right.
How do we
You forgot the question?
Come on. What are we talking about?
Something about referral.
And we
Well, I
could go
think too,
on
like
and on.
I
but-
think to add to that on the mortgage side, on the lending side,
Yeah.
I think a reason why we work so well together and how, I mean, when I'm introducing people to you, it's like, hey, Ryan's almost unbeatable. Like I send people to you because you're unbeatable, and people like you. And then on the other side too, it's like I can get a hold of you on a Sunday, and I can get a hold of you on a Saturday
Brian hates
night.
that.
And hey, but he might not like it, but
But he
but
does
he
it.
answers
But he
the
does it.
phone,
But he does it,
and,
yeah.
and a credit union is not going to answer their phone.
Yeah.
You know, a big bank's not going to answer their phone. Like,
Yeah.
and we're trying to in this market. If you're not competitive and you're not on the
Quick.
spot,
Yeah, your team,
like
your
getting
entire
it
team
in,
makes a big difference.
you're kind of hosed. Like, sorry, there goes that deal, and
Yeah.
it's just because my lender couldn't get me a pre-approval, and he was he was out snowboarding or whatever.
Well,
You know
and
what I
knowing,
mean?
and knowing how to do those deals, I think I'm just thinking of a recent transaction we did where it was on a weekend. You called me. They had gone with a credit union, but they didn't have a credit score, right?
Yeah, right.
And so the credit union's like, hey, no, you can't buy. I don't have a credit score, which is technically true, but we found a way to get them a credit score within the time period of closing that
Yeah.
loan. So they were still able to go under contract on that home
Right.
and then start it and stuff like that. And they got the home as opposed to missing out.
Right.
Had the
Right.
one with credit. So no,
Yeah, I think that's the partnership there. It's
Yeah.
it's big and it helps out.
Yeah, what we hate is doing a ton of work, getting something, getting to that point of writing the offer, and then or getting under contract, and then our clients using some lender that we haven't, that their uncle referred, or their bank or whatever it is, and they drop the ball, and we've just spent hours and hours
Yep.
and nights and mornings away from our crew and what we're doing to come up against failure.
Yeah, because someone won't answer their phone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so
It's
maddening.
It's sad,
It's
yeah.
incredibly maddening
well, there, yeah.
for everybody.
I like that. We'll have to save that part by you guys. I like it. It's good, good stuff for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about. Let's shift gears here a little bit. Less about us, kind of more about the market and stuff like that. As far as what's going on in the market right now. Obviously, we've come off probably two of the fastest growing years in real estate ever. 2020, 2021. As far as home appreciation and home sales. Low inventory. I mean, these are crazy years right now. We're looking now at the forecast for 2022. What's going to happen, and maybe I'll start on this, and then I'll let you guys kind of answer also. But as far as a major factor for the housing market is obviously going to be interest rates, right? And so interest rates are forecasted to go up this year. In fact, just over the last week, a couple weeks, they've been going up, and so. The first part of 2022 rates should be higher, probably closer to 4% or so. Okay, that's obviously going to maybe kind of make things a little bit more expensive than they were before, right? The buying power is less than it used to be. But the forecast that we can see is actually as the Federal Reserve starts to fight inflation, which that's their goal, right? Is to fight inflation. As they start to raise interest rates. That actually might cause interest rates to fall, okay? Because interest rates go up when inflation's going up, because obviously the people lending money want to make the same amount of money, but in real terms, right? And as inflation goes up, they have to raise rates. But as the Federal Reserve starts to raise rates, that might make rates fall back down, okay? We'll see how things play out, because there's several factors in here, and whether they actually are successful in fighting inflation, that's another big thing. So I would count on interest rates going up. The only reason I bring up that they might fall back down is if I was buying a home, I probably wouldn't be paying a lot in closing costs to buy down that rate, because it's very possible in 6 months, a year, you might be refinancing, right? Because
Interesting.
rates
Yeah.
might come back down. So that would be my take as far as interest rates, obviously, which have a big play in the market. Tell me about real estate and the housing markets, but obviously specifically here in Utah where we're at. How do we feel that's what's the forecast here?
Well, the forecast is a funny
Did you
word,
bring,
right?
Did you bring your magician's hat?
I know.
The
Let me
future.
pull out
You
my
obviously know the future, right?
crystal
Right.
ball, and we get this. We literally will. Just about get this
All
question
the time.
every single day.
It's true.
And of course, nobody knows, and we have a lot of very strong opinions that are very educated, and those opinions you can hear all across the board as well.
Yeah. Whatever you want, you can find the right answer. right?
Yeah. Now that said, all the big data is indicating that we're going to continue to have a really strong demand and low inventory, which typically will drive up, prices. Even with the increased even what so what some people don't know is like we'll tell people. I feel like I tell people, I'm in real estate when they find that they're like, oh, it's a good time to be in real estate. You must be making a lot of money or whatever it is. At least that's what they're thinking if they're not. It's been great. They've been great years for us. But I will say the last many years, it feels like we're showing more homes, writing more offers, and getting fewer accepted than ever before because there's just such a huge demand and so much competition that if you don't have a client that's willing to go above and beyond, way above and beyond, then they have not been successful in getting homes. And so it's been extremely challenging in that regard. I feel like personally I haven't looked at the data to see if this is accurate or not, but my personal experience has been that, and you guys might feel differently, but over the winter break, as in any typical year, we've seen things slow down slightly, where we started to see some homes, sit on the market for a week or two.
7 days.
And some prices drop down slightly. And in my opinion I was telling people, look, like prior to this little slowdown, people, if you pull sold comparables and you see a home is worth $500,000, then as a listing agent, you're putting the home up on the market for $550,000 or whatever, because there's going to be so much demand that it's going to drive people up. But then with the slowdown, if you did that, then the home was still really only worth $500,000. People, and they listed at $550,000, they've had to drop their prices slightly. So it's not that the market was falling. It was just that people were pricing ahead of the market. And right now, it feels like, especially with all the interest, people are really getting worried about interest rates. We're having more people flooding back into the market. And we're seeing more and more of these multiple super high, over asking price offers. In fact, I think you guys both had recent. I think it was on Monday. You guys
I know
were telling me
Casey's
about.
the king of like getting people like that. Like he does a really good job like counseling with people about it.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about.
It's
But,
an art.
So
yeah,
humble.
it's a really competitive market,
So
like
honest.
Joe's saying. I think
Tell them about the last offer that you just did.
Yeah, let's hear about that one.
which one?
He's
I
got
think
so many deals right now.
No, that's not true.
Which
Oh, I
one's
like that.
Yeah.
well,
Subtle flex.
I
That
think
was
what
good.
they're going for is we put in a really strong offer without naming anybody's names. Well above 50,000, above 75,000 over ask. And I thought we were really competitive. Competitive. We were doing everything the seller asked for, not just the 75 over, even more than that. We were saying we'd pay above appraised value that much and make up the gap, which is what's happening in the market, I think, right? We have to do that. We have to maybe do a rent back for 60 days, which you don't like to hear that, or
Sure. Yeah. Wait,
but
what? No.
but there's a lot of things that we're just kind of bending over backwards to do for these sellers, and we got beat out by another offer, $100,000 over with cash.
Wow.
And this isn't at like $400,000 to $300,000. This is like $800,000 price range. And like when I first got into the market, I was told, you'll see a handful to like maybe 10 $1 million homes being moved throughout the valley in a year. And now I look at the market, I'm like, everything's $1 million. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy.
So how do people have hope then? It sounds a little discouraging then, right? Kind of thing.
I hate sounding like
it's
that.
cash poor and stuff like that, right? So it's like, oh man, how do I get a home then, right? But so what? How do you get a home, right?
We sent them to you, Ryan.
That's right.
Yeah,
I think you were kind of
You make the
asking
num-
for
you make
that.
the
but-
numbers.
I just make it work.
Funny money, magic wand.
Once you get it under contract, I can make it work, right? But but how do you get it under contract, right? Especially some of those first-time home buyers that typically do not have more than their down payment if they have a down payment, right?
Right.
How are you?
Travis.
How do you do that? Yeah.
Blackmail usually.
Okay.
So if you can put something dirty on the other agent,
Yeah.
you're in. No.
Then
Works
you're
every
good. Yeah.
time.
Yeah, no, it's hard because it's like you say, it's almost like everybody has to go through their own journey to determine what's a good offer, right? Because
Sure,
good
sure.
is very, it's a difficult term to define, and so
Sure.
I feel like a lot of it we practice this a lot where we're very vocal with the other agents we're working with and with our clients and helping them understand the process because it isn't easy, and it's like it's hard because what's the industry standard? What works the best? And I feel like usually the buttons that we push and how we advise our clients, just so that our clients know we don't want them to pay extra. Like
Yeah,
we don't
of course.
like
I know.
that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I mean, we're here
Not
for
at all.
them, and so it's funny. We're protecting their interests more than our own. Just like literally, figuratively, so to speak, even. But exactly.
That's
Yeah,
what you're doing.
that's the hard part. Is it's like over asking price. Like we generally have them waive some of their rights if that's appealing to the other party.
Sure.
There's creative ways we can also still protect them, but it's like, I guess.
Yeah, and really our job is we don't make the decision for them. So what we do is we educate, we provide the tools to win an offer.
Okay.
But then it's really up to them to make the decision on how much they really want this house and
100%.
how much they're going to go for it. And so if somebody does make a $100,000 offer over asking price, it's not because we're like, you've got to go at least $100,000. It's because we've educated them on what's been happening in the market, what their tools are. Here are the different things you can play with to make your offer stronger. And then they decide that they want to go that much high, above and beyond.
Yeah.
The other, what Travis mentioned is super important, and this really makes a big difference, is how many times as a listing agent will I get offers, a bunch of offers, and there's 3 or 4 of them that are almost identical. And then what it oftentimes will come down to is the relationship that you, as the real estate agent, actually have with the listing agent or vice versa, right?
Sure.
And that's something that
They
people,
trust you, kind of.
that's just something the public really does not understand, but it happens over and over again. Where I've done so many deals with so many different agents, and I know how they operate, and they're gonna be that type of agents that's gonna jerk us around, that's not gonna be honest, that's gonna be, making things go sideways. And I'm gonna let my client know of the experiences that I've had with that agent. And
So even though
so
the buyers may be good, that agent that's representing them,
can really screw them over, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's a small market. I know the agent, the
You
good
know
agents
most of
out
the
there.
agents,
Yeah,
you've
you know who
been
they
doing-
are.
you've been doing deals for a while, right?
Yeah. And so that's one of the little nuances. There's so many small little things that an experienced agent that's really good can do to make the difference. And so it's not all about the bottom line.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not about if I get $5 or $1,000 over the next highest offer, I'm going to
Sure.
get this thing.
Sure.
It's really not. There's
Not
a
the
lot of
Price is Right
subtleties.
kind of thing. Just
Yeah.
a cent over,
That would be awesome if that was it.
Yeah.
But it's
yeah,
not.
sure.
That-
Yeah.
And really, the reality is there's so many aspects to an offer that have so much more value to a person than just the bottom line. It's
Sure.
really crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just one of the little things that we pick up. We picked up because we've been in the industry for a super long time.
We do it it's like our job, right? It's our job to do that.
Yeah,
That's-
the communication between the agents is really big. Like you can stand out, or you could be the guy that, you put in an offer, I didn't hear from you, I
Right.
didn't get a text
It's
message.
crazy
from you.
how many
like,
times that happens.
Yeah, like
So-
does happen.
And I've heard of agents that do a lot of manipulation on their contract as far as maybe not telling the full truth, different things like that, so
Yeah.
that they can try
And
to.
you
But the problem is that agent then burned that bridge, right? And that's now if you work with them again or they have a reputation, I don't know.
maybe for sale by owner, that agent sends that over, and the owner is like, "Oh, this looks like good. They're high amount." But again, we're in the industry, right? So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
notice those little nuances that are harder to pick up on. Funny story. One of our old clients, I was chatting with him today. He said, "Oh, do you remember how you got this deal?" And I was like, "No, not really." He's like, the agent that I was working with was flirting with you, and you were working it. And I was like, what? I was like, wait.
What?
I was like, wait, what? I was like,
This
I was
is not
working
standard
it.
procedure.
I know. This is not
what I was talking about.
And so the funny thing is, so then I remembered. I was like, oh yes, that's what happened. The agent reached out to me and she said, "Travis, the reason you're getting this deal is because you have talked to me. You're vigilant. You've done all of these things." And so that was literally what it came down to. Is she was like, "Travis, you've gone above and beyond. You're the reason they won this deal." I was like, pat on the back kind of thing, but like it was just funny because.
And then you went back to your client, just like, because of me.
That's
Because of me.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
No,
right.
and I think what's funny
They
is
don't-
the other agent it's just funny how little things happen and they help. So,
Yeah, it makes a big difference. It really does.
Well, so here's what I would say then again is a plug for why use you guys is again, the person you work with matters, I guess.
Yeah,
it
The
does.
experience in the industry, the good relationships you have with other agents. I mean, obviously, anybody can write an offer, right? And everybody can say, "Hey, yeah, just bid $100,000 over asking price." That makes it easy, right? But I mean, it sounds like there's a lot more to it than just money,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it sounds like
So
it's a little bit more about relationships, a little bit more about kind of some of those nuances that we're that you don't even know about, right? Until, hey, you don't get the deal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of
So,
who we're
yeah.
tied to, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm working for Security Home Mortgage here, but
Sure.
like they want to know that you are our preferred lender, or
Sure.
that I'm working with somebody that's going to get them to the closing table. Like,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, the short story is like, is your guy going to be able to perform?
Yeah.
And are you comfortable with who he's lending with?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if they
that
don't,
really
if
does
they
make a
don't
difference.
know that, like, I've never worked with this lender before. I mean, yeah, we're going to make it.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Like,
Security
you
Home
never
has
know.
Great
Yeah.
reputation. Great
they
great
do.
reputation.
Yeah,
in the
seriously, you
industry.
guys have been great.
Well, I mean, so again, reputation, different things like that. Yeah, those things matter. It's not just price. It's not just bidding, you know. So, yeah.
So another thing that I wish that people could understand this now that I'm on this side of the experience scale, but it feels like oftentimes people think that all agents are created equal, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With
So
the
it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my brother-in-law just got into real estate, and I think we're just gonna go with him because he's gonna get us our. I mean, he's whatever the 3% or
brother-in-law.
2%.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, respect. I don't want to.
Do that if that's important to
Yeah,
you. Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
But the amount of experience that you have and the number of times that you've gone up to bat for a client, it changes you as an agent. And so to think that somebody that just got into the business is as skilled or knowledgeable or capable as any one of us, just flat out is not true. And yet, because potentially we're getting paid, the same amount,
Sure.
people think that we're
Oh, equal.
equivalent.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. And a lot of the things that people don't see is how smooth the transaction was, or how complex a transaction was that you helped them navigate.
Sure. From their
Exactly.
perspective, it looked easy, but yeah, there's a lot of complexities behind the scene
There really are.
that ideally never even made it to their desk. Right?
Yeah.
As far as their knowledge, I guess.
I mean, how many times have we had people that come to us afterwards and been like, dang it, I should have either used you guys, or I should have listened, or I should have, and it's so hard to do. It's sometimes very, very difficult to communicate the value that we bring to the table until after they've gone through the negative experience, which is really sad.
Yeah.
It's all stuff that we could have saved them so much money, so much heartache and headache, or even the house of their dreams that they ended up missing out on, right? Which is oftentimes the biggest one.
Yeah.
And
So
it reminds me of Sam, who's not here, who was also on the team.
we do have two. We have two other team members just of note.
They're
Sam,
just less responsible than I'm
Yeah.
I'm teasing. We know they're more. But they're better.
yeah, Sam, and also Sam Willis and Mary Hansen. So they aren't here.
And so Sam, we were having lunch the other day, and he's like, it all comes down to like basically like, how did he put it?
How well you play
He
golf.
said, well, I mean, I guess anybody could really do it, right? But it all depends on who's on the other side and how difficult the other person is. So like you could have a smooth transaction and like Joe was saying, like be brand new and go through it. Everybody, we all started out new at some point. But it could be really smooth and easy, and the other person agreed to all your like, oh well, I want $5,000 off because the roof is bad, and your sinks are leaking, so I want another $1,000 off, and then you disagree with it and go along with it.
Yep.
But more often than not, this is a lot of money that we're talking about, and the biggest transaction you're going to go through in your life.
Yeah.
Most likely there's going to be some emotions and some kickback, and that's where we kind of step in and we know how to navigate through that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and we do it every day. So I don't know. I just threw that in there. I mean, it could be easy. It could be super smooth. Yeah, if the other person is super nice and on the same board with the same line as you,
willing to give everything
Yeah,
to
right, yeah.
you. And
Yeah,
doesn't
here's
wanna
my
fight for their
house.
client.
I don't want it. I don't want it for $100,000 over, Travis.
Exactly.
I'll give it to you for list price. Yeah, no, that just
exactly.
doesn't happen.
I think you've articulated very well why, why use, well, I mean, one of the questions is why use an agent, but I think probably the better question is why use you guys as an agent? Why use the right agent, right? I mean, not just any agent. I mean, they're not all created equal, as you kind of stated, right? And so, again, what sets you apart, I think you've elaborated that very well, actually. In fact, you taught me a couple, I didn't realize some of those nuances. So I love that. Love that. That's a great answer. Let's shift gears a little bit more into investing.
Oh yeah.
And I know real estate. Probably ever since like that Rich Dad Poor Dad book. That's everybody wants to get into real estate investing, right? Want to make some money because it's easy, right? And you can just make money doing real estate. But I know you guys invest in real estate, different things. Why? Well, let's start with how did you get into real estate? How did you get into that process, and then why is real estate good, and why do you like investing in real estate and stuff? But first, how did you get into it, and why?
As far as investing in real estate?
Yeah. How did you get?
Well, I mean, truly, if anybody that has invested in real estate, they start to realize what an incredible investment real estate is. It's such a secure investment that's backed by actual physical, tangible something. It's not like Bitcoin, just kidding, but that is magical.
Sure.
Magical.
I mean, you can get your hands on it, you can understand it, right? And then the number of benefits that go along with investing in real estate are huge.
Yeah.
When it comes down to putting in renters and they're paying down your principal on your behalf, right? There's positive cash flow that hopefully that you have. I mean, hopefully,
Ideally, right?
they have.
If you have a good agent to help advise you.
Yeah, you're right. Right. There are significant tax benefits that can come into play that save you money, and then of course the appreciation in a market. I mean, if you bought a house, even a year ago, right? The market's gone up like 23% or something ridiculous. That's insane. So and even just on average, the market's in a appreciation has been phenomenal. So there's so many different aspects to real estate that make it a great investment. Then there's also other plays that you can do, like refinancing or cash out refinance,
Sure.
or other tools that you can use real estate that makes it a flexible investment. But as far as how did I get in I got into the business because that's how I wanted to make my money. Eventually was the goal is to eventually have enough investment properties that have positive cash flow, so that if I didn't want to, I didn't have to work, because
Sure.
ideally they're paid off when it comes time, and you have a bunch of money coming in every single month, which is actually how my dad has done it as well, which is where I initially
He's
was
been very
cued into it.
successful. hasn't
He's been extremely successful in
Yeah.
the real estate
So you
world.
had a good example there.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Mostly commercial though. Him.
It's primarily commercial with a little bit of residential as well.
Okay.
But yeah, primarily commercial. So I sort of had that vision. Of course, read Rich Dad Poor Dad along with many other
Sure, right,
books
yeah,
that sort of validate what you've already heard.
Sure.
And then I started just trying to. Anytime I got a paycheck, I put a certain percentage away until eventually I had enough for a down payment, and then got the first rental property. And since then and now we've done some commercial as well, and vacation property type stuff as well, and so now it's spread out a little bit.
Sure.
But for me, it was initially, and looking back, what I would have been awesome is as a young newlywed, I wish that I had bought it with that 3.5% down, or like some low amount down, and then had saved up for another 3.5 on another property, rather than selling it, taking the equity and putting it in. But that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I think you did that, right, Ryan?
Well, no, actually, that's what I counsel a lot of people to do. I say if I could do it again, I would start in fact, I've seen some people where they move once a year, right?
Yeah.
Which you got to get your wife on board, which is
that
sometimes
was the
hard to
biggest
do, right?
It's a lot, too.
Changing neighborhoods and stuff. But I mean, ideally, that first house, live there for a year, fulfill the requirements that lending has. You do it, maybe zero down even, because obviously that first house can be 0 down to 5% down. But then those subsequent houses, and just kind of keep doing that for a little while, build up your inventory at really low rates with low down payments, and that gets you in a good spot. And that's
Yeah.
what I would do again if I could do it again. But
Me too, but at the same time, whatever. I mean, it's not.
It is how it is. Right?
Yeah, it is, and we got into a great second house that we really ended up loving, and there's more to it than just money. But yeah, that's how I probably would have tried to do it.
But
Over again.
once you do have some money, then you're able to put it down and obviously put a little bit bigger down payment, and that helps with cash flow, obviously, right? When it's 0 down to 5% down, you're not making probably
You're paying
as
the
much.
mortgage.
I know
Yeah,
my
that's
first home we and maybe this is what you remember, because I did do it with a friend of mine. He did it owner occupied, and added me to title after the fact and stuff like that. It was a duplex and
Yeah.
stuff, and so and we did not make much money. In fact, we lost money for several years the roof went out. There was a big hole in the roof. The renter was mad because it ruined all his clothes. He didn't have renter insurance. I mean, it was
That's
kind of
inspiring.
like, yeah, it was,
That was
yeah,
very
we're trying to
inspiring.
say
You're right.
But hey,
Thank
this has a happy ending here, right? Because I had this, I bought it at the worst time, like 2007, right
Yeah.
before the crash, okay,
Mhm.
or right, kind of during, and
Right at the peak.
right? And but I recently sold it about 2-3 years ago. In fact, I think you helped me do that, or Sam did, and
That was me,
Um,
Ryan.
it was you and Sam, you're like
We're
identical,
one.
right?
We're
Same
one.
thing,
You're
same
just
person.
one. I just
People that know us laugh at that comment.
I know. I was
It's
thinking
true.
that.
But the nice thing was having, so again, it lost money all this time, but when we sold it, we made a good profit on it.
Yeah.
Even though we bought at the peak, and obviously things went down, but so I guess that would be my other thing with real estate is, real estate is not a get rich quick, but it is get rich slowly, and over a long period of time.
Yeah.
It's a great investment.
Oh,
And this one, even when I bought it the worst time, it made me very little money over the time period.
But in the long run.
But in the long run, I made a
Usually comes
sizable
back.
profit,
Absolutely.
right? And so again, I think that's a great testament of real estate in whole is, hey, hang on to it, do it. It is get rich slowly, and I think anything that's worthwhile is slowly.
I guess
not
it depends on
necessarily
what point of the
rich.
market you buy in.
That's true.
Buy 3 years ago, and all of a sudden you're sitting on a chunk
Yeah.
of equity.
So as far as investing and stuff like that, what other things, Casey? Any you work with investors too and stuff like that? I guess.
Yeah, tell them about your Sandy investment. Actually, maybe not. I don't know.
We'll stay away from that one. But I guess I can just, I don't really know. You guys covered everything on investment, really, I think. But like you said, real estate, I feel like no matter what, you're going to probably come out on top at a point. You might have to sit on it, like you said, for a little bit longer than you might have thought initially, especially with the market, or, you just never know. But it seems like historically, real estate usually always bounces back and ends up higher than it was. So, I mean, what else can you say that in? I don't know. I think for investing, I think it's the greatest spot to put your money, and I'm looking to do the same thing.
Well, I would agree, and it's. I mean, I like the stock market. It's good to put some money there, and have my 401k, different things like that. But like, I think real estate, again, go back to what Joe was saying, that tangible investment, right? I can see
Yeah.
it. I can go down the street, look, and see it's there, right? And
Yeah.
and you can have some fun with, like you said, Airbnbs and different things like that, where hey, you get to go enjoy it too. It's
Yeah, you've had
You've done
some
that,
great
right?
success with that.
I've done, and that's been good. And so,
In fact, go visit. Was it workplayharding.com? No,
it's playharding.com. Yeah,
Playharding.com,
That's
right? Now you
Go
go
see some houses there. Yeah, that's right.
book your vacation today.
Book your next vacation today. We'll give you 10% off the list. No, just maybe I'm not joking. I don't know. Anyway, and that's been a good investment too. Again, just based on appreciation and different things like that. So,
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, there's a lot of other more creative ways in investing in real estate. In an ideal world, like right now, some things that we've been doing recently is really, buying and finding distressed properties that are not actually being marketed on the real estate, MLS, multiple listing service.
okay,
And those are a little bit more tricky, and it's definitely not for the beginner investor.
sure.
You're going to have cash to buy the properties or some kind of hard money loan in order to pick these up. You can learn about wholesaling, and you can find people that are wholesaling properties out there. That's a whole nother world of investing. But there are some creative ways to getting properties under market value, but usually they're distressed and need a lot of work, and you need to have cash to buy them.
So not for the normal, I guess.
It's not your traditional,
Not your traditional thing.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to have a lot more capital floating around.
Yeah.
But if you do have a lot of cash on hand or
Yeah.
have access to it,
And not only that, but you have to be, in this market in particular, you have to be willing to pull the trigger without knowing all the skeletons in the closet.
You
And
can't have everything listed out on a spreadsheet.
yeah,
Everywhere.
and that makes a lot of people really uncomfortable.
sure.
In
Be it
fact,
a money pit or not, right?
yeah. And so unless you sort of know what you're doing, it might be tricky to go that route. But that's another route that where you can make decent money even in a market like this, where things are. I mean, right now things are so expensive to get into, but there are distressed properties out there and people that are willing to sell for less under market value if they can get the cash and get out quickly. So
And those are people. So why would somebody want to sell less, so it's just people that have a bunch of repairs for the home that's needed and stuff like that. And that's
There's
kinda
so
why-
many different reasons, right? Like, so we had, there's one couple that or one guy in particular that just comes to mind is his job is he's been a trucker full time, and so he's constantly on the road. He's had this last property that we did in Provo. He had this little tiny house that he had owned for the last 10 years or whatever,
Yep.
and so he had a ton of equity built up in it. But his wife was sick and tired of managing the property. And so he just wanted, I'm not sure exactly why they wanted the cash up front, other than him saying, basically saying it's just the convenience factor. So what we told him is, like, as an agent, we came in, we said, hey, look, if we were to put your home on the market, we could sell your home for this much money. It was a true market value. Like, we told him what he could sell it for and how much he'd be walking away with. It was significantly more than what, we were willing to pay for the property with cash.
Sure.
Or we're willing to pay you cash and we can close in 5 days or whatever it is. And he's like, done. Like, give me the cash. I would just let me have the cash. You guys can have the
I don't have to
property.
deal with showings. I don't have to deal with people
No, he didn't have to
walking
show
through
it.
my
He didn't have
house,
to deal with his current tenants, nothing. And he
Yeah.
was thrilled. Like, he still had made a whole bunch of money.
Sure.
He left a lot on the table, but he knew, he had eyes wide open, knew exactly what he was doing, and we were more than happy to pick it up. We did have to do some renovations.
Sure.
And then we put it back on the market a few months later, and we made some great money doing it that way. So
So you're saying you do have some of these properties sometimes for some of your clients and stuff like that, I guess, too?
yes, we can do it for our clients, but it has to be the right type of client.
Gotcha. Because again, there's a lot of requirements, right?
Yeah.
Cash and being able to pull the trigger.
Exactly.
immediately, sounds like.
Because if they're not willing to pull the trigger and they're not willing to buy something without, like, fully investigating this,
Yeah, there's some risk.
Yeah, there really is some risk. Then I don't want to get everybody. Yeah, I don't want to get everybody riled up and
Well,
like
just-
go
just-
and do all this stuff for somebody that's just pretending to invest.
Well, and just
Sure.
so like to clarify with Joe, like, we get calls from investors commonly.
right.
Sure.
Like emails and phone calls and text messages. I buy distressed properties. If you can help me, it's just
Right.
funny because, like, all of the time,
Sure.
and like Joe said, like, unless I've worked with somebody and I trust them and I know that they're willing and able to go in and understand, hey, it's a risk.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like with investing, fortune favors the bold. So sometimes
Yeah.
we have to take a little bit of risk, understanding, that, like, you may get a duplex with a
Yeah.
hole in the roof,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Right.
That's right.
But
That's right.
10, 20 years later, you may sell that thing for a pretty penny. So
Yeah.
that's it comes down to taking the risk and being okay with it.
No, that's perfect. Anything else on investing before we wrap up here?
Do it. Just
Do it.
invest.
Just
do it.
Just do it. Invest.
Well, not like Nike, but like,
Yeah.
might as well say, just invest.
Nike's sponsoring us now.
Yeah, there we go.
That's right.
Starts getting hot.
Yeah,
really?
we should get some.
Where's my
money.
shoes? Yeah.
No, I agree, and I would say, I guess on that note, that first property is always the hardest.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
scary, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's but I have, as I've done more and more the subsequent houses. Now it's like, because I already know the numbers. I'm familiar with it. I know what I'm doing. But that first house is hard.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing I want. I always want our clients to understand. I try to reiterate this: is that, hey, if we make it seem like it's not a big deal, just so you know, we understand it's a big deal for you, and we don't want you to feel like we're being this person who's nonchalantly brushing over thousands of dollars.
Sure.
It's when it's in our daily practice, like you said, it's no big deal when you do it commonly, but first time. We try to be there emotionally too,
Sure.
even though it may not seem like it sometimes.
Sure.
That helps.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Well, hey, like to thank Casey, Joe, and Travis for joining us here today. I think we had a good thing here as far as a lot of different topics covered.
Thanks for having us, Ryan.
Yeah, we
thanks.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You're
So,
a good guy.
Yeah, hey,
Keep giving,
thank you.
keep
Not
giving our
bad.
clients
Yeah.
money. We
Yeah,
appreciate
hey,
it.
I
Maybe
will.
maybe I'll send you a deal.
Yeah. Hey, mission accomplished. That's great.
Just joking. We highly recommend
Yes,
Ryan.
always.
Yes,
every day.
After
to
years.
everybody.
Well, thank you. Okay, well, that's it. Done.
Thanks,
Okay,
man.
See ya.